we're starting the episode with a restaurant-style dish, crispy skinned duck with braised fennel and a fennel sauce. Duck breast is one of those ingredients that you normally have for a special occasion. There are a few little tips I'm going to give you on how to best prepare fresh duck breast. I'm going to serve mine with some braised fennel. So I'll prepare my fennel first. I want to cut this into slices about 1 centimetre thick. All right. So we are going to give that a little bit of colour and then braise it in a pretty simple master stock with some vinegar, sugar, garlic, star anise and some chicken stock. So, into my pan, a little bit of oil. I'll heat that up and then place my fennel in. You can do the same sort of thing with red onion or whitloff. The idea is to braise that vegetable in a sweet and sour master stock. So once that gets some heat, I can put my fennel in. Duck breast. Duck breast is a great product. It is quite fatty on the outside, but the meat itself is really lean. So you've got to get that balance between having enough fat left on the skin side that renders through the meat itself and keeps it nice and moist. And you're always looking to cook duck breast sort of a medium to medium rare. It should be nice and pink on the inside. So because you can see there how much fat there is underneath that skin, and there's the really lean meat itself. So you need to give that fat a chance to run away. So score your duck breast to allow that to happen. And then we are going to cook it on quite a low heat to render as much of that fat out as we possibly can, so that we end up with a nice, crunchy, clean skin with a really moist and lightly pink breast underneath it. All right, so we'll prepare both of our breasts the same way. Same again, just to score, to allow that fat to run out from underneath the skin. Very good. And then I'm just going to season this breast. So a nice amount of salt on top of the skin. So you want a good coverage of salt on both breasts. And that salt's going to draw any moisture that is in that fat. That salt's going to draw it out. So we're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes, and then we'll wipe them down with some paper towel, and they'll be ready to cook. Move on with our fennel though. So we've got some heat in this pan now. So pop in our fennel rounds. At this stage, all I want to do is get some colour on both sides. I'm not trying to cook it through, I'm just allowing there to be colour, and then I'll add my stock to be able to braise that fennel, and then I'll turn the temperature right down. Once I've got colour on one side of my fennel, I'll turn it over and start to get some colour on the other side. That's when I'll add my stock ingredients. So chicken stock, star anise, garlic, the same 1-to-1 ratio of vinegar to sugar. I'm using a sherry vinegar just because it's going to go well with that star anise flavour, and a little bit of salt on top of that. At this point, I'm pretty happy with that. I just want to reduce that sauce down a little bit more, and then I can turn that off. I'm going to use some paper towel just to get rid of any excess moisture that salt has brought out of the skin. And then I'm going to pop my duck into a cold pan and start to bring the heat into it. Gently on a medium heat, I'm going to get that all the way through, almost cooking it completely on the skin side, so that we render as much of that duck fat out as we possibly can. So my duck can go into my pan now. Don't need any oil. As that heat comes into the pan, that'll start to render out all of that fat, and that's what we'll end up cooking and basting in. Just want to taste this stock that we've created, which will end up being the sauce of the dish as well. That's pretty good. I reckon 2 more minutes and I can turn that off and allow it to sit. That'll stay warm while we cook our duck. I turned my duck about 30 seconds to a minute ago. I can turn my pan off completely now. Just bring a little bit of heat back into that fennel. I want to let that rest. I'll take those breasts out, pop them on my board, and just allow them to rest for about 5 minutes. By then, our fennel will be nicely heated through and we can plate up the dish. Place your fennel in the bottom of the bowl and put as much of that sauce or that sort of braising stock as you can in there. Then cut up your duck, lay that on top, a little bit of salt on those open sides of cut duck. And there is a special dish that you'll be surprised at how much flavour that fennel soaks up from that braising stock and how tender and juicy the duck is when you allow it to cook for all of that time on the skin side. Our skin is nice and crispy, which is what we want, and our duck is cooked perfectly.